Giving to the foundation a lot. What I'm going to try to do today is explain what your club is worth based on what you've given in the years 2013 and 2014, the way our district does this. Now, this will be different than they do in South Carolina, the district you're in. So bear with me. When I give this presentation at Rotary Leadership Institute, we have folks from other districts, and I have to explain what we're doing. But I think it's a pretty good system. On how to allocate and give a little bit of recognition to the clubs that contribute more than others. Okay, the first part of this is all about what you just saw in the video, except in still, so I'm going to kind of breeze through it. That's what we're about. Role of understanding, goodwill, and peace. Sometimes you wonder about the peace part, the way the world's going these days, but we're working on it. Those are the 6 areas of focus. Now, so if you look at that, you can almost do anything except build a building. Anything that has human interaction in it can be done with Rotary funds. Peace, disease, clean water. You get the expert for our district here, Steve King, in water. Education and economies. E-R-E-Y means every Rotarian every year. We would like you to give a little bit every year. What does that amount? Some people say $100, but no, that's a sustaining member. Every Rotarian every year, I kind of use $25 as being what every Rotarian ought to give to the foundation on an annual basis. Now, if you're young, got kids, don't have a lot of money, you got to pay the dues. Your club is great on dues. The cost of meals is minimal over here, but those things come out of your pocket. So if you put just a little bit in Rotary when you're young, as you get up in age, you get to the 20-year-old Rotarians like I am, more goes in because we have it, and I like to give to what it does. My motto with money at the foundation, I know it's going to a good cause. I could care less how it was being used, but I know it's going to a good cause. Most of the foundation funds and how it's run comes from the investment that they make with the money. You put the money in this year, and then it earns money for the next 2 years, plus what it earned this year, you put it in. And then in the 4th year, you start to spend it. That earnings that it has in those 2 years pays for most of the foundation's expenses. It's different with RI, and that's why we give dues to the Rotary International. They're 2 different organizations. What are we doing? 4-star, Charity Navigator, good organization. We spend 6% on fundraising, administrative 2%, and the rest of it, 92%, goes to projects, programs. That's pretty darn good. One of the best in the country. Okay, so the money's in there. What do we do with it? I'm going to show you what your club does in a minute. But let's just say that we put in $100,000 from the district. But wait a minute, let's do it. Let's be more accurate. We put in $250,000. You're going to see it. So half of it goes to this, what's called district designated funds. The district actually manages that for the foundation, and then the other half goes into the World Fund. Now you're going to ask, well, what happens to that money over there? I'm going to show you how you get it back in running projects. I don't know if you can read this or not, but you'll see it across the top. In 2011, that was the district governor. 2013 was my year as governor. It comes back 2 years later. Peter Kyle followed me, Bill Fine, etc. So the money goes in, and so Ken Solo this year has about $139,000 in our use of the foundation. Now clubs, district doesn't spend that. The clubs do, but you got to put the projects in to do them. The goal, if you see over there, is $500,000. We'd like to get there. South Carolina's got some really great districts down there putting a lot of money in. 7610 has already achieved this $500,000, and they got less members. Okay, so what do we have? This is kind of the way they take that $139,000. They've got $59,334 set aside for global grants. And I'll show you how you guys have access to that. What they will do is if you give a lot of money, you're eligible to match that up to $19,778. So one club, one project can't take all the money. Now, we can have more, and in your case, you don't reach that 19,000, so there's other clubs could have a global grant. The district grants is another part they put in there, and then out of all this money comes district scholarships. We give 4 scholarships of $2,500 per year. I think that's what it is this year. Jimmy Gorski is running that this year. Global Grant Scholar, that comes generally out of the global grant side of the money. That is matched 100%, so it's really a $30,000 scholarship. These are folks who are going on to further education, things we think are important to our world health and peace. Polio Plus, we give 10,000 of that out of the money that comes back to us. Peace Fellow Scholarship, we do that in our district. Not a lot of districts do this, but we're very successful at getting folks selected to the Peace Fellow program. I think we get 1 or 2 or 3 every year that this is done. And then we have a contingency fund. That sounds a little fishy, but what that means is if somebody needs a little bit more money, to get a district grant done, that's where it comes from. By the way, if we have any of this district grant money left over at the end of the year, it rolls into the next year. We don't lose it back to the World Fund. It rolls into our account. It has to be spent on global grants in the following year. Yes, sir, Steve?
We use that contingency fund for the Canyon project.
Oh, good. That's how you get it.
We didn't have enough money to finish the project, and that's where it came from.
Okay, for Leonardtown. So what I've done here, anybody can go log into my Rotary, and you'll see your club come up. But if you click, there's a little window there. You can click any club in the district and look at all these numbers for every club. Can't do anything about them, but you can look at them. So I went in and looked at Leonardtown's numbers. 2013-14 had 28 members. I took 1 July of that year. That's in there. For lack of a better place to get the number. And the donations you made was close to 4,000. Per capita giving, $140. You're going to see the significance of this in that. And then in 2014-15, you had 31 members, and you gave 5,000 for per capita giving, 162. Only $40 more, you can be at 200. Okay, so we have 2 kinds of grants. We have district grants, which are nominally what it says here, and I'll explain in a minute, and global grants, which anybody can do any time of the year. These are due 1st of April. So if you're thinking about doing a district grant, put it together. I think you are. I'm not sure what it is. Like Mom, maybe? Mission Mercy. So if you give between 50, well, first of all, if a club doesn't give $50 or more or less, they'll get anything. 50 to 99, they'll match $1. So you put in 1,000, you get 1,000. If you put in, I think this says you can only get 1,000. If you put in, like you are, 100 to 199, it's $2 for $1. So $1,125 from you yields another $2,225, $250. You add those 2 together, and that's your project, $3,375. And then if you get over $200 per member, you're $3 up to $3,000 you get. So if you put in 1,000, you'll have a $4,000 project. Little incentive, not much, but it is something to think about as you give your money to the foundation. And so here's where I went through that a little bit for you guys. Now you can get matched up with 2 other clubs and get all the way up to $4,500 contributed by the district to your project for nominally a $9,000 project. If you have a $10,000 project, you just put the extra 1,000 and you still only get $4,500 from the district grant program. Global grants. Global grants can be submitted any time of the year when you feel it's right, you've got all the paperwork together. This is only going to talk about the financial side. There's a lot of work that goes into a district grant. I think Steve King can go in for 2 or 3 hours about his team project. And we weren't even the lead, you guys weren't even the lead club. It was a lot of work and it still isn't done. So it's based on, this is all our district rules. All districts have different rules. These are the rules for our district. So that's why I brought up the last 2 years. Minimum 100 per capita. That's a little bit different than the district grant. And we match up to 1/3 of the DDF. 1/3 of the DDF is this 19,000 here. Okay. Per global grant. So Leonardtown. Those are giving you in the 2 years are in consideration. So for a total of almost $9,000. District will match up to 19. Won't give you 19 for the 9,000, but they will give you 9,000 matching. So you're eligible now for that 9,000. That 8,963. That is today. Okay. Now, club wants to contribute extra cash. To get the project off the ground, you have to have some cash up front. I gave this presentation to the historic Prince George County. They have run a booth at FedEx Field during the football games with the Knights of Columbus. So you think about this. They put money in to get it back. They asked the Knights of Columbus to join them in a project. I mean, Rotary probably say, Knights of Columbus, what project you want to do? You put the money, we'll get some matching for you. That 10,000 comes into their club as cash, okay? They've added a little expense for managing that money of 5%, so there's $500 that comes off. But that money gets matched at 50 cents on the dollar. So you're now at $15,000 from a project coming from somebody we want to work with. So there's kind of a win-win here. That 5,000 is coming out of the World Fund. So you put money in, remember we gave half of it, it's what we're being held. So you got 5,000 back there. The district DDF is matched at 100%. So you've got almost another 9,000 being matched out of the World Fund. So if you think about it, you've got all your money back plus somebody else's 5,000. That's okay. But you can't do this every year for every club. So if you had those all together, without a host club or district, this club and your contributions with the help of somebody else, or yourself, if you choose to use your own funding, are worth $32,000 project. Now, cash contributions can come from anybody. And there's a lot of guys. There was a guy in there with a picture. I know him. I can't think of his name right now. Talking about the project he did. He's a pastor at one church. So he's got his feet on both sides of the fence. Gets his church to put in money, and takes it over to Rotary and get more money so he can run these projects. It works pretty well. It works really well. So, Knights of Columbus, in the case of Prince George's County Club, puts in 10,000. He gets leveraged up to a 32,000 project. You put money in 2 years before, you get it all back plus a little. So there is a way to get at that money when you run a project. Now, this is probably the easiest part, but it's letting you know what your value is, if you will, on the grant business. I thought I'd let you know where you stand. And then, of course, the next 3 or 4 slides are our appeal to you to give. This is the way I give. Rotary Direct, $85 a month is a little over $1,000. Makes me a Paul Air Society. I don't have to do anything except obviously give them the money. You can do that for monthly. You can do that quarterly, or you can say I want the money taken out December 31st because I want my taxes, be on my taxes for the current year. They're all taken out in one shot. So that's Rotary Direct, come right out of your checkbook. This is what it does. $100. I mean, there's lots of examples, but this is the one that they gave me. 3 backpacks with school supplies, 50 malaria tests, biosand filter for water hygiene training. $1,000 actually gives around about I know this is 1,667, I think it is, polio drops, kits. But all 14 HIVs, bicycle, kind of stuff that money can be used for. We haven't, most projects are basically between the Koreans, Taiwanese, Japan, Canada, US, and the European Union countries, sending their money to Africa, South Asia, island countries. Australia's in the first part. However, there are projects on occasion that are done here in the United States. I'm going to cite one that was done with the Rockville Club. They had been supporting a club in India for a district, actually, for decades. So they just said, look, we're starting this new system. Why don't you help us with our handicapped children that can't get around, that can't walk? So then, if those guys said, sure, we'll do that. And they became the international partner and put in most of the money. And this clinic up in Rockville is now helping handicapped children with a project that the Indians actually put the most of the money in. I think you can do a lot of stuff with this stuff. It takes time. Steve could probably spend, as I said, a couple hours telling you how it can work. And with that, two little girls saying, any questions?